obviously a coward, as she is. Apparently, when I was going to do my first Facebook Live, which was my very first video with Steve Nassett, she hid in her office all day. She should. Because her letting that piece of garbage around children in a van by himself, or him giving children COVID tests by himself, disgusts me and should disgust you to no end when his charge was 2 counts of child pornography. Absolutely hideous. This woman is letting him run the show.
She's talking about you?
And then
No, this is another guy.
From the Key and Sentinel being an extraordinary woman. Bitch, please. You're a scumbag. Sorry to say that. This is an adult video. That's your video. You, over here. You're going down. By 500 nights of terror, because the party is over. This is Thomas Parisi for this moment.
So, how's that referencing you? It was a mix. They're long videos. So how many of all of those are the ones that reference you? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Parisi?
Yes, sir. May it please the court, I am getting together all 4 copies of this, which I'll be able to present in one moment. What this is I do have what's referred to as the jail paper keen. The jail paper keen is a show that's been in this courtroom, on and off in these courtrooms since 2017. It was on Cheshire TV. It's a recognized thing of the press by the state of New Hampshire. This, as you can see from it, while salacious and in some way very rude and more circumstance, this is all in the exercise of my First Amendment right as a freedom of the press, freedom of speech. Most of those you see are commingled with other residents of the homeless shelter referred to as 100 Nights, which Mr. Conley, in this sheet of paper, is not an actual person who resides there. What it is that Mr. Conley had been staying in his van, as he had mentioned, or I had mentioned in my video, and he mentioned in his petition. Mr. Conley is registered to 17 Lamson Street, which on the piece of paper I'm about to give you shows that he was not residing there. So as concerned citizens had messaged my television show or my Facebook page, I had gone down there to see if we actually saw him in his van. At no time in any of these videos, which you can view on the public Facebook page, the Jail Paper Keen, was there mentions of threat, intimidation. What mainly I have seen is that this was, as we have put out in one of these cases here that I have, which is mortgage specialist versus explode heavy industries, which is a case from the state of New Hampshire from 2010, which they state that news reporting is not limited to large public entities. And paraphrasing the actual case is that every sort of publication falls within this purview of the First Amendment right, which I was exercising. I'm a college student. I'm making a documentary about 100 Nights, about the large amount of sex offenders, drug traffic they have there, and other types of scandalous activities, which I believe Mr. Conley has deliberately made would come in nothing less than a gag order of saying that I cannot mention his name, go near this location, and as Mr. Conley had only filed this on Friday the 22nd, on Friday the 22nd, I had filed and made a protest for this same said location. I believe he had maybe filed it sometime in the afternoon. My event was at 7 o'clock, so it all coincided that now Mr. Conley is saying that he's being threatened and harassed. As I can do these, I do have here, I don't know if I can submit these now for you to review, but
sure.
When you review it.
Do you have a copy for Mr. Conley?
Yes, I have one for you, myself, and the plaintiff as well. Now, Mr. Conley says that he's not allowed to use Facebook. However, Mr. Conley had contacted me twice on Facebook. When Mr. Conley contacted me on Facebook, which he's not supposed to be using, that's for Mr. Conley.
So he's not supposed to be using Facebook? Or
I only presume because Facebook has policies and regulations regarding registered sex offenders that they're not allowed to use that platform. However, it's in there that there is a John Conley, which I presume could only be him, that contacted me on September 17th, a day after my first article relating to 100 Nights, which was referred to as 100 Nights Haven of Sex Offenders. Mr. Conley's image from the New Hampshire State Police Registry was included, his exact charges, and I had made commentaries to that, but commentaries affecting criticism, not stalking, not harassing, not threatening violence. What I believe has happened is in this circumstance, like with most, this is a charge that has been made to the public, or made known to the public for certain reasons by not only the court, but it's been made by the legislature. And with that being said, it has come to his attention that now he's received what he refers to as maybe embarrassing or emotional stress, duress that he's going through because this has become more publicly known. But this is not responsible because of me. This is me as an independent journalist. I receive 20 to 30,000 views a week on my videos, which strictly pertain to sex offenders and other people that would be considered a danger to the community. At no time in any of these videos is there a threat of harm, is there a threat of retaliation, or anything of that nature. So
what about the nature of your remark that you were going to kidnap somebody?
That one is very good, Judge. If you watch the end of that 6-minute video, there's a boy that I'm referring to his father in one of those videos where Mr. Conley had showed you. There's a boy by the name of Jeff Nass Jr. His father is Jeff Nass Sr., operations manager and convicted of 2 counts of child pornography and charged with solicitation of a minor in Sullivan County in 2010. The boy is sleeping outside, which is the reason I did the protest against 100 Nights. The boy was sleeping outside with a sheet over his head in this weather. So my protest last Friday was specifically for that young man and the corruption that's going on there within. If you look on the inside of this document, there is a copy that's an actual copy from 100 Nights. 100 Nights that had on October 14th, which is relevant to when Mr. Conley is saying that all this harassment took place, and stalking, is that Mr. Conley is not at his address and hasn't been at that said address for a while. So again, that's the reason why I was doing this coverage. The young man I was going to kidnap, when you watch the end of the video, you'll actually see me put him on camera, and I put the phone down, and I actually start talking with Jeffrey. And I tell him, I've come to kidnap you. You know, because the young man was outside in 39-degree weather, and he slept over at my house, but he now is at Southwestern. But that literally, the boy who was going to get kidnapped was this young man that I literally didn't want to see sit out in 30-degree weather. I do realize that, like I said before, this material is somewhat provocative, not in the ordinary scope of news reporting, but I assure you that it is strictly news reporting, and as Mr. Conley mentions relationship to me in said petition, news reporter. So there's a recognition that the news reporter is specifically executing his duties.
So how many times have you contacted Mr. Conley in the last week or two?
If we look through that, I have not contacted him, not once, since September 17th.
And that's when you went down to his van?
No, I never encountered his van. Mr. Conley had never appeared at 100 Nights. I mean, I saw in the petition, he said now he would be residing in that Gilbo Avenue parking lot next to Lindy's and next to 100 Nights. However, in none of these instances, even including a Walmart video, which he hadn't showed you, the Walmart video, I had viewers say we saw his van. So I went down to Walmart, never saw his van.
Okay.
I have no idea what the petition even looks like until this very moment. And I have no intention, excuse me, to interact with these people because my idea is simply reporting. I go in front of people's houses, as you'll see in all these videos, I go in front of the houses of sex offenders. I bring up pictures where I show the offender, I show their charge, and I explain on this television season that I have, which is called the Tour of Trepidation, which is specifically places that children and parents and vulnerable adults should not go on Halloween. My season ends on Sunday. So essentially what's happened is that I have stopped my activities because it's come to the point where I'm concerned that Mr. Conley is going to feel unsafe, have to call the police, I would get a violation, so on and so forth, even if I wasn't in his neck of the woods. But I do believe that what I'm doing falls under the same freedom of speech. I have no interest in ever seeing Mr. Conley again. I didn't have any interest before this. And, you know, basically, my news reporting is strictly to the confines of telling people things that they have lost the ability. Mr. Conley has lost his privacy in a certain regard once he accepted this conviction, or 2 convictions, one for sexual contact with a victim under 13, and then felonious sexual assault, which you'll see that in his Facebook message that he sent to me, he went into great detail to describe me what felonious sexual assault is, which as he describes is a victim under the age of 13. So, and I actually might have had it out of order, but there's 3 of them all together. But in no way did I contact him after that point of what I believe.
respond to what Mr. Parisi's told the court? Can you stand up, please? Yeah. He's indicated that he has not threatened you in any way, shape, or form. Do you agree with that or not?
No, he said in one video, I hope you're living in fear because I won't come and find you. If you looked at these videos full length, you can see the type of language that he's used, and
Can you tell me what explicit threats he's made, rather than require me to go through all these videos? Can you tell me what threats really concern you? What does he specifically say?
He said he's coming to find me many, many times. He posts pictures of in front of 100 Nights saying, I'm waiting for John Conley, or the coward John Conley hasn't showed up yet. All his fans or whatever are always commenting about where to look for me and where I might be sleeping. He said that he wanted to videotape me in my van sleeping. He said he was going to wake me up at 3 a.m. With loud knocking on the door. He said, I don't want to bug 100 Nights right now, I just want to bug John Conley Jr. He's, for whatever, it sickles me out. And the thing that he was saying...
So these comments, in what sense do you believe that it's harassment?
Yeah.
Plain and simple?
Yes.
And you've let him know you don't want any contact with him whatsoever?
I couldn't, after my initial response to him, I asked him to change the wording in his, when he first posted about me, I said, you have your information incorrect. I said, these are the differences. He's calling me a homegrown child rapist, which is slander.
Have you ever told him that you want no contact with him? That's what I'm asking.
I couldn't, because after that initial contact, I contacted my probation officer. I said, listen, I just contacted this guy through the Messenger app, but is that considered Facebook too? And he said, it is. I said, okay, no problem. I went to his office, he looked through my phone, he said, just delete it, just stop, don't keep, itching the scratch, which is Thomas Parisi.
That's probably a condition of your sentence, I'm assuming, that you can't be on the internet?
No, just on social media, which was, I didn't know, I wasn't on Facebook, I was on the Messenger app.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how I always used to do text messaging, but I deleted that right in my probation officer's office. He watched me. I also have a court order or whatever, Covenant Eyes, which tracks everything I do on my phone, any message I send, any phone call, everything.
All right, so how much contact have you had with Mr. Parisi in the last month?
As far as, playing like ping pong, basically, I'll go to 100 Nights and everyone will be like, watch out, he's looking for you, he was just here, he was over here, he was asking about
Okay,
you.
but the question is, how much contact? Have you had any contact with
No,
Mr. Parisi?
no.
Okay. All right, thank you. Would you like to add anything?
Yes, certainly, Your Honor. May it please the court. So basically, as I don't need to say anything, Mr. Conley has already aced himself in the gutter. Basically, long and the short of it is that Mr. Conley had emailed me. After he had emailed me, I basically banned and blocked him and ignored him. His comments and basically saying that I had called him a homegrown rapist. I have certain views on what happens to sex crimes victims. I consider what his charge is, sexual contact, victim under 13, to be something serious enough that I would make that comment. I would gladly say that my comment could be slanderous in nature if it wasn't true. I do not believe it to be true. I have no interest in the future, either now or moving forward, to have any contact with this said individual or any of the ones that I do on this television show, which is called The Jailpaper Keen. I have not singled out Mr. Conley. Mr. Conley is one of at least a dozen or so sex crimes or sex offenders that I do go to their residence. I do make special videos. This video I did a series of 3 to 4 of them, or maybe as many as 6. But the last one was on October 22nd, which was just before, it was at like 1 a.m. in the morning. But at no time, the worst that Mr. Conley can say, and I will tell you, you'll be able to see it, is I said if I did see him, I would knock on his window and ask him a question. That has nothing close to the caliber of me harassing him or trying to get him injured. He had said in his petition he literally wears a mask everywhere he goes because he lives in fear. I am not responsible for him and his emotional duress or otherwise embarrassment because of his sex crime. That's his responsibility. And as I said before, this is all in the sake of exercising my First Amendment right.
Okay. I'll take it under advisement.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you both. Until that time, the preliminary order is still in place. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All rise.